What is going on, you guys? With the announcement of Season 7 for the Clone Wars, it is finally time to talk about what this might mean for X-Wing Miniatures game, because, boy, there's a lot of starfighters. Now, I've already done a video about capital ships, talking about different capital ships that might show up in, like, Star Wars Armada, or in other video games and things like that, but now I want to do a video talking about starfighters. Now, this isn't going to be a comprehensive list, but I am going to talk about a bunch of different starfighters that can show up, because there's a lot, folks. There's a lot of different starfighters. A lot of times people think, oh, well, you know what, there's just, like, you only see one or two different types, and there's a ton. There's a ton. So let's just jump right in. I'm gonna start with the Republic first, and let's talk about this classic, you know, the good guys, the N1 starfighter, right? You see this, you see this in Episode 1. It's like one of the first good guy ships you see. All right. Now this is pod racing in space, so obviously N1 starfighter would be a prime candidate. And it also kind of crosses over into the Galactic Civil War. In the comics, even Leia flies one. So N1 starfighter, there's a lot of people who've wanted an N1 starfighter for a long time. Sure, it will probably show up. Next up, the ARC 170. I mean, obviously, you're probably familiar with the ARC 170 and its little dragonfly appearance. It's very stylish, has that very hot rod looking, you know, body with like the wings that look like they're maybe a precursor to the X-Wing with the S-foils that come out. But another reason this will definitely probably show up is they already have it in X-Wing. So, you know, it's already there. They already have the model, and it looks beautiful. So, yeah, definitely ARC 170s. I think, you know, this is one of the mainstays. So I think you're definitely going to see this. Next one's one that I know a lot of people have wanted to see that is also in use by the Empire during their early days, as are a lot of these ships. The V-Wing. The V-Wing is definitely going to be seen if they do this stuff. The V-Wing is definitely iconic. Another opportunity for moving parts as well, but I think those pieces only go in when it lands, so I don't know if they would have to give it moving parts. But you know, V-Wing is you know, came into the war late, so actually should probably be one of the more advanced ships for the Republic. Don't forget your Y-Wing, your BTLB Y-Wing, your more, you know, less gutted Y-Wing probably would be better than the Rebels version of the Y-Wing, because it's got more armor, it's newer, you know, it probably would have more hull points, can take more shots because they didn't strip all the plating off. But yes, but otherwise I think it would be very similar to the regular Y-Wing. Might be a little more expensive than the classic Y-Wing as well. A lot of stuff they can do here. Let's talk about the Delta 7 Interceptor. So the Delta 7, this is that one that, you know, attaches to that big old ring to go into hyperspace. You don't need to put that ring into, you know, into the game, because I don't know if there's really a need for it. But, you know, you definitely saw this. Obi-Wan flew one of these. These were definitely used quite a bit by Jedi, pretty much. And yeah, I mean, pretty iconic. I think this one's an easy one. And again, like a lot of these ships, has the astromech slot, so you're going to have a droid of your choice flying on board with you. Next up, the Eta 2 Actists Interceptor. This one, you know, the more advanced one. This one, you know, there's so much going on with this ship, and I think this is one that people would really be happy to fly. Vader flew one of these during the early days of the Empire. You know, obviously Anakin and Obi-Wan flew this in Episode 3. These were used in the Clone Wars. Yoda flew one of these in the Battlefront 2 games. This is Yoda's ship. You know, and this is kind of like the precursor to that TIE Advanced. You know, it's got that TIE emblem on the cockpit there. So, you know, this is a great ship. Can also have the movable S-foils. Very, very easy to do that. The Eta 2 Actis. How about the V19 Torrent? This one, you know, you saw more in the Clone Wars. Cool looking ship. I like a lot, and definitely a candidate for moving parts. Definitely think we'll see the V19 Torrent starfighter. You know, they also used Z95s in the Clone Wars. Yes, Z95 Headhunter. You have seen this one in X-Wing before. You've seen this in a lot of different places. It does look like it's a different model, but that could be an artifact of the CGI conversion, like the V19s, or I'm sorry, not V19s, the Z95s that we're used to seeing look a little different than this, but not all that much. I think it might just be one of those CGI conversion things. So Z95 Headhunter, I don't expect them to be too different than the Z95s that we're accustomed to just seeing. There are some larger ships as well, because I've pretty much been talking about all just the little fighters, but there's some slightly larger ships that don't fit the capital ship, thing. The G9 Rigger. This is kind of more like a freighter, but there's room for freighters in a game like this. This one always, I didn't like this one. I thought it was one of the ugliest ships. It looks kind of like the Winnebago from Spaceballs with a big, wing coming out the side. But it also has moving parts, kind of like how it just reminded me of a B-wing, because that bottom little wing that comes out, just ugly, just really ugly. Was not a big fan of this ship, but that being said, maybe the FFG model of it could spruce it up just a little bit. That would be kind of nice. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do. You could give it some heavy firepower, kind of make it slow. It could be like a slow, clunky, can have take a lot of hits, but if it does line up a shot with you, it might do some damage, so that's possible. The Havoc Marauder from the Bad Batch Lost Episodes. I don't want to talk too much about this, because if you guys are going to watch up Season 7, there's some, there were forgotten episodes that, since they didn't think at a time, back at Star Wars Celebration a while back, they had kind of talked about some of these, the old episodes and things that they were gonna, that they never got around to doing, and the Bad Batch was like and one of the things that they, talked about, and so I believe all of the plot points are known. So if you want to go Google them, you can Google them yourself. But this is a ship that'll, was used in that little quick rendering. I think all the voice acting and everything was already done. So. And also that also looks exactly like what the preview. There was like another guy standing next to Anakin, and it looks like, or rather Obi-Wan and Rex, and this was one of those Bad Batch guys, and so this is probably going to be in Season 7. So I think we'll see the Havoc Marauder. The Eta-class shuttle. This one, also known as the Jedi Shuttle or Republic Ambassador Shuttle. This is when they use, obviously it has some early resemblances to the Lambda. There's a decent amount of shuttles that get used. We don't really need a whole lot of shuttles in X-Wing. 1 or 2 is fine, but they're, for the crew slots and everything, so you wouldn't need to have a whole lot, but this is a candidate. The new class transport, again, we're going to talk about a couple of different types of shuttles here, not all of them, but I like this one particularly, and now this one does kind of bear a slight resemblance to a lot of the drop ships and the gun ships, and I'm not doing all of those, but I like this one specifically because this one showed up in Rebels, and this one had that TIE bomber underneath. Champ Syndulla brought one of these in, and I was thinking to myself, this would be really cool in X-Wing, because it could be a large base ship with docking capability, and it could function kind of like how the Gazanti, like just, but now again, in 2.0 you're gonna have more ships with docking capability. Now now we have a lot of ships here. The Ghost has docking capability. We have all these other ships that have docking capability, but this would be a good docking capability ship for the Republic. So pretty cool for the new class transport. And oh yes, the T6 shuttle, or the Jedi T6 shuttle. This one was in the Clone Wars. This one also you might remember from the series finale of Star Wars Rebels. You see Ahsoka piloting one of these. So pretty cool ship. Big, definitely big. You're pushing the, there probably would be a large ship in this game. And then also, I don't know if we need this one or not as well, but you have the Theta class T2C shuttle. This was like the most recent direct predecessor or parent before the Lambda. You even had Captain Kagi, who piloted this ship and took Palpatine to go pick up Anakin on Mustafar. This was the shuttle, and then Kagi shows up later on as a Lambda pilot in X-Wing. So this is just like the Lambda's parent ship, so right before that. So there's a lot of shuttle options. Wouldn't need to get all of them, but and there's other ships that I didn't mention, but that's just a few, and that's there's a lot of different ways of expansions if they decide to go this route. What about CIS? Because you can't just add one faction from the Clone Wars. You'd have to have both, right? So Let's talk about CIS. So, oh yes, we got these little HMP droid gunships. They would be fun. CIS would have a lot of, I think, swarmable ships, even possibly even cheaper than TIE fighters. I think that would be a thing. You know, you've got Dooku's sail barge. I think this would look ugly on the board, but maybe you don't have to put the sail. Maybe this, maybe you can do it without the sail. I don't know. The Solar Sailor, sail barge. No, that's Jabba's sail barge. Dooku and Jabba are not the same person. But yeah, you've got Dooku's Solar Sailor. Now, this one's called the Belbalub. I believe that's how you pronounce it. But, Grievous had one of these. It's his little Corvette hot rod looking, more of a getaway car than a starfighter. But cool, has some guns on there, but pretty cool stuff. Tri-fighters, all the droid ships, right? And we've seen a lot of these in Battlefront 2. The Tri-fighters were pretty nasty. They were more like the Interceptor kind of A-wing comparative, for the droids, and so I imagine they'd be really quick and nasty, and hopefully cheap. And then you have Asajj, who flew this Genevex. So again, it's a funny thing. Like Asajj was Dooku's disciple, and they both like these ships with sails. I'm not crazy about ships with sails, but apparently it's a thing. Not my favorite. I'm more of a fan of the droid stuff. So we've got our Vulture Droid, and the cool thing about these is they could land, and then they could walk, and their wings became legs, and so they could do all that weird stuff. I don't know if we necessarily need to have them doing that in X-Wing. I think if that would make more sense for them to do something like this in Armada. So like they would have a special keyword for a swarm of these if they get into if they're able to touch, get into base contact with an enemy ship, then they could land or whatever. But for X-Wing, it'd be like your main fighter that's not, I don't know. It'd be like your main swarm kind of fighter, like your TIE fighter, basically. Oh, and then, of course, the heavier version, the Hyena class bomber, would be kind of like your TIE bomber, but for the CIS. Again, probably cheaper, not quite as strong. You wouldn't get 6 hull on this. This one you might get like 3 or 4, whereas the Vulture Droid, like maybe 2. Something like that is my guess. It probably just would be cheaper, more swarmable, and easier to kill. My general idea. All right, so you also have the Zenuas 33, and weird looking ship, but it definitely stands out. The Nantex starfighter from the Battle of Geonosis. You saw these guys. It always reminded me of maybe like an early cloud car design. Still want that cloud car, by the way. Probably never gonna get it, but I still want it because it's it's from the movies, man. It's from the movie. The Rogue class starfighter, Cad Bane's Xanadu Blood, which kind of begs the question: what are you going to do with all the bounty hunters? Are you going to put scum if you do these factions? Are you going to put scum in all 3 timelines, or are you going to give? I think like the bounty hunters from the Clone Wars can kind of go in CIS. You could give the Jango Fett's slave one to the CIS. I think you could do that. I think you can get away with doing that, but if not, then they could just be, you could just make scum like the most powerful faction because they're going to have access to freaking everything, or every timeline. I don't know. And this goes for all the other bounty hunters as well. So again, it's not a comprehensive list. This is just some highlights and some interesting things. So the Zagaran slave ship, we're getting a little bit larger now. This is a bigger ship. You can have some crew options here. Again, there's going to be a lot of shuttle and bigger type crew option ships. It doesn't need to have that many of them, but there are a lot of options. And the cool thing about this one is I'm pretty sure that this class ship was also seen as Star Wars Rebels, escorting some Mining Guild TIE fighters. So it looks like some of these went to the Mining Guild after the Clone Wars as well. Don't forget our Phantom 2, ancestor here, the Sheathopedes. The Sheathopede shuttle. We already have the mold for these as well. And they're already in X-Wing, so it'll be a real easy conversion to put over for CIS. Could be one part of the launch wave since you already have the mold. You can probably just give them a different paint job. Easy. And how could we mention this Sheathopede without the Maxillipede? It's bigger brother, another bigger shuttle. But this one actually looks really cool. I like the look of of the Maxillipede. You have the H2 Executive Shuttle being destroyed by the Zillo Beast here. Actually, I really like this picture. You know, you do have a good amount of shuttles and large crewer options, and I want to close it out with maybe the most awesome ship that could be as the bad guys in the Clone Wars, the Scimitar, the Sith Infiltrator, Maul's ship. This one would be so awesome. So awesome. Let me know what I didn't include that you think I should have included. Do you think we're even going to see these factions in X-Wing? Do you think we're going to see these factions in Armada? Do you think we're going to see these factions in Star Wars Legion, which would be great? Do you think we're going to see these factions in Imperial Assault? Do you think we're going to see these factions in more and more games? I am really excited because I hope so. I definitely hope so. I want to see more and more factions in every game that I play because it gives more options, gives more depth. And when you show up to play, you don't know. Now you got to think about what, not only what army composition, but what faction am I going to be playing against today. Very, very exciting. Gives these games a ton of future, a ton more depth. Very, very happy about it. Makes for great news. So I'd love to hear what you guys think. If you guys like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and let me know what you think down in the comments below. I also want to invite you to check out Crabbok.com. I will periodically post new articles out there, as well as there's some guides and some links to some of my other important videos that are hopefully helpful and or entertaining. Also check out Discord. On there we're hanging out and chatting. It's a great you know, just a forum for you to go ahead and post your thoughts and you know, interact with other folks. One big thanks to my patrons on Patreon as well. I want to thank you guys so much for all your continued support. If you'd like to be sure you are entered for future giveaways, all you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. I want to thank you so much for watching and have a great day.